Hello my gorgeous friends, I'm back! Happy New Year. This weekend I'm filming back to back, so if I look the same in a couple videos, that's why. Today's video is something that I've wanted to make forever, and then I asked people on Instagram, you guys on Instagram, what I should do, and so many people said that I should do it, and I didn't think I would get that response because I don't want this to come off as passive aggressive. So essentially, if you've seen the title, this is about things that you should do when you visit London. And this doesn't just go for international tourists, this is for domestic tourists too, because I will get into why. But for us Londoners, it's very frustrating when specific things are done, and I'll tell you what things, purely because they disrupt the order that we have in this city. And it's strange because it's not a personal thing, it's just we have like an order in the city that we follow and go by. And by order I don't mean like things you have to do, I just mean like politeness and things like that. So I'm gonna get into it so it makes a bit more sense. First things first, it's as if people have never been on an elevator. But if you have, oh, it's an elevator? Escalator, sorry. But if you have in the UK, in London specifically, you stand to the right if you just want to stand. If you want to walk on it, you walk on the left. So the left pathway is left clear so people can walk up and down. I have seen a stupid amount of tourists just stand both and blocking the side. And what's funny to me is that when people do that, they can clearly see ahead and behind that space is clear for everyone else. So I just feel like people aren't getting these social cues. And I've seen people get yelled at, not just for this, but for all the things I'm going to mention in this. I've seen them get screamed at, I've seen them get pushed. And listen, I don't think that's the right way to deal with it, but that is just a common sense thing to us. So, you know, leaving space for people who want to walk, who are in a rush, who have somewhere to be. And I think that's the main thing for this entire video. My point is going to be, London is a place where people have a place to be. So whether that's work or seeing friends or going home, we're a rushed city and we walk faster than we think and travel faster than we think. And so it's really important to keep that in mind. So whenever you're on the escalators, stand on the right, walk on the left. There we go. And honestly, I do think that posters should be put up about these things, but I think because everyone who lives in London knows that, they don't. But anyways, I'll do it. I'll do it for free. Another thing is connected. Do not just stop in the middle of the road. I don't care if you're looking at something, I don't care if you're on a touristy attraction road, it doesn't matter. Londoners will push and shove you to get where they need to be. The amount of times I've been in Covent Garden, and it's such a touristy place at times, and there's just been groups of people who are obviously not from London just stood in the middle of the street, and I'm like, oh, I can't. Can you tell? I get physically flustered. It annoys the shit out of me. I have places to pee, people to see. Please, just let me go through. And I know that that's a common Londoner thing. It's like, fucking move fast, walk, please. And then obviously this is not at all aimed towards people who do not have the ability to walk fast. This is purely at able-bodied people, and people, whether that be, because it is a lot of the time domestic tourists, so like British people who do not live in London as well. And because, you know, I think they're very used to like, oh, we can stride by in the countryside in County fucking Durham or some shit, and then it's like, this is London, babes. It ain't like that here. It ain't. I'm gonna shove you. I'm gonna push you until I get to where I need to go. Especially because it's like, it's not that bad where I live, because I live in I live in London, but I live on the suburbs, so I don't live right in the centre. And it's not like that here. I'm talking purely about the centre because that's where most touristy people will be and go. But also at the same time, because of that, the centre is a place that's the busiest. So for Londoners, that's where we have meetings or see friends, because it's like a middle point if we all live in the suburbs and things like that. So it's important to just keep walking, keep it walking. And the thing is, like, it's not that you can't stop and look at something, obviously you can, but it's about being self-aware. It's about being aware that there are other people on this planet around you that are moving and walking and trying to get somewhere. I found, especially with American tourists, that because I went to America last year and I'm going to America again this year, and I'm not looking forward to it in the sense of dealing with the Americans, but they lack so much self-awareness. It's insane. It's like they have no idea that you are standing right behind them. It's like, I swear there's like a what's it called? There's been a test done where like people can sense when they are being watched or if someone's behind them. Like, it's just science. Americans don't have that. So the amount of, I'm so sorry, I am one of those people, if you are in the middle of the road, of the pavement, just standing there, I am gonna kiss my teeth at you, because I always fucking do that. I'm like, because it pisses me off so much. So it's about being self-aware. Be aware that London is a busy place, so many people are around you. Be aware of where you're standing. Are you blocking someone? Are you blocking several people? Again, that's why it's linked to the whole escalator thing, because there's just a lack of self-awareness from tourists with people around. And I like London, you have to remember, is so small in comparison to places like the US. So imagine your busiest cities like LA and New York in a much more compact space. That's why it is the way it is. If it would be bigger, then it would be like New York, but it's not. So you've just got to keep that in mind. This is more of a tip. You can't pay for anything on travel, so like buses, trains, you have to have a card. You can't pay with coins. This is honestly something that I've seen so many domestic tourists get wrong, and I don't understand how, because you live in this country. You should be aware that that is a 1900s thing. And you don't pay with coins anymore. And then I've seen so many domestic tourists be like, on the bus, like, oh, can I pay for two? It's like, no, one card per person. So you have to use two cards to pay for two people. It can be your two cards if you want to pay for your friend, but you can't pay for two people or more than one person per card. So the amount of times that people have held up buses and people have been so pissed off, and it's like, for me, I don't get pissed off at that. I'm just like stunned at domestic tourists, and I just want to get up and I want to be like, don't you live here? Anyways, it's so baffling. But anyways, basically the best thing to do is to either use Apple Pay if you're domestic, if you're international, Monzo, or buy a day travel ticket card, whichever one. Someone got on the bus the other day and was like, do you have tickets? And I was like, and the driver was like, what? Tickets have not been a thing on buses for like 20 years, so so that's a tip. Don't bring your coins. They're basically redundant in this country, well, in this city, because like in shops as well, it's ridiculous. They only take cards, and it's mostly post-COVID that's been a thing, but the whole travel thing has been something for years. Another thing is, here's my thing, I don't expect people who come here to like fucking know our history. I don't fucking know our history. I don't go to a country and be like, I know the entire history of this country. But just refrain from saying stupid shit. That would be a good idea. I once had a group of American people behind me whilst I was in Camden, and they were like, oh yeah, like they have really weird names here, like oh god, what did she say? I made a video about this. It was so fucking funny. I burst out laughing by accident. I really didn't mean to. It sounded so rude. But I was like, she was like, oh, they have really weird names. And then she was like, Nottingham, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, America has places called the same things. You literally have a Birmingham, you have a Nottingham, you have a Suffolk, a Norfolk, no, not Suffolk, Norfolk. You have stolen our names, and you have them as towns, cities, whatever, in your own country. I think that's just Americans though. I really never ever hear anything that stupid come out of other people's mouths, but I burst out laughing when I heard it, and she looked at me and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is so stupid. I think another thing is just remember that you are in a different country. Our customs are very different. And I don't expect people to abide by them, like in the sense of, you're in our country, you must abide by our rules. There's just a sense of like common decency. And like, I think it's also quite hypocritical of me to say this, because I go to America and I'm like, I'm not tipping anyone for shit, because I'm not responsible for your government being flawed and not paying you the right amount. I think it's a very different thing, like just coming here and having like spatial awareness of other people is very different to like spending more money that I do not have to pay people that should be paid correctly by their government. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it's not like you need to abide by our rules. It's just have some spatial awareness. I think that's my main takeaway from this, is please just have some spatial awareness when you are traveling. Just please, please, please. And I think like London, I love London so much. It's my home. I've lived here, I was born here, I'm from here essentially. And it's so beautiful and there's so much to do here, and I don't think I could ever really get bored of it. And I have so many friends who hate it here, and you know, they hate cities and everything like that, and I get it. But for me, it's such a beautiful place. So I think like my advice would be, when you come here, to really go and see things that aren't touristy. Like, so go see things that, yes, may be busy. So for example, I'm thinking of, there's a market I'm thinking of. The flower market. There's a famous flower market, can't remember what it's called now. But it's beautiful and it's near Shoreditch, and Shoreditch is my favourite place in London. And it's, yes, it's busy, but it's not the most touristy place, and I don't think the touristy places say shit about London, like, at all. I've never once been on the London Eye. I've never been to fucking Madame Tussauds. You couldn't fucking pay me to go there. Or the fucking dungeons shit. Or, you know, I've seen the Shard a million times. It's nothing special. You know, we have like the least impressive architecture. If you're coming from like fucking France or Amsterdam or something, or Italy, like, you guys have beautiful architecture compared to ours. And so it's just, those things are nothing special. I would go into the niche cute things to do, and I'm not talking about like Instagrammable things to do. I'm just talking about like things that aren't probably on your, you know, if you search up best things for tourists to do in London, it's probably not going to be on that list. But yeah, I think that's how you would get as much as you can out of a trip here. And in general, people have really mixed feelings about London. Some of them say that they come here and people are rude, but that's just people being blank-faced. And I think a lot of people are, because you live in such a condensed city, we're kind of like in our heads of like, no one around me is paying attention to me, so I don't need to pull a face, I don't need to do nothing, I just need to get on with my fucking day, kind of thing. At the same time, I've heard people say, oh, everyone says hi to you, like everyone's really nice and polite. And I think it really is just dependent on what the day, the people you meet. I know where I live, like when I see people, they always say hi to me. I don't think you get that as much in central London, but you still get really nice, polite people. I think the more rich or touristy a place here, the less nice it is. But like even in central London, I have like go-to coffee shops, and because I'm a regular, you know, the people there are so nice to me. Like they're just the sweetest people ever. Like I would literally die for them and I don't even know their names, kind of thing. So I think it's just dependent on like where you go and things like that, and how nice you are as well. Like if you're nice to someone, there's a 99.9% chance that a Londoner is going to reciprocate that. I've had worse in Paris, so and in LA as well. Actually, I'm going to New York soon, and I'm actually more excited for that than either of those two, because I feel like New York is the most similar to London and it's probably going to be quite similar. But yeah, those were the main things, my tips and do's and don'ts whilst you're here in London. I probably have so many more, so if you want me to go through those, I will. I don't want it to come across as you're in my country, act our way. Blech. No, blech, blech. That's disgusting. That's not all I'm saying. I'm just saying these are the things that you should not do to avoid getting yelled at, pushed, fucking like literally verbally abused by Londoners, because it happens. Mostly by older generations, but still it happens. So yeah, if you're coming to London, let me know if these tips and do's and don'ts helped you out. I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye.